Let's talk about a pretty provocative idea. What if the system were all in? The economy, the career path, everything you've been told to do. What if it was never actually designed for you to win? It's a huge thought, so let's get into it.
This is the story we all heard growing up, right? Go to school, get a good job, work your tail off, and one day you'll be rich. It's sold to us like a law of physics. It just is. But what if that's just not true? What if that whole promise is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the world we actually live in? What if the game we're all playing has a totally different objective? That's really the question we need to figure out. And look, this probably feels familiar. This feeling of just being wiped out. You feel like you're on a hamster wheel, running as fast as you can, but you're not getting anywhere. You're working harder than ever, but that feeling of security is always just out of reach. The core idea we're exploring is that this feeling isn't your fault.
Because, the argument goes, this isn't an accident. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's the result of a system that was built with a very specific purpose in mind. And understanding that purpose is the first step to seeing how the whole thing works.
So, what's the one big idea, the one lie that keeps this whole thing going? Well, it all boils down to one fundamental misconception that we're all taught to believe.
The lie is simple. Hard work equals wealth. But the reality, it's a lot more complicated. Hard work is great, but it only really pays off if the system you're working in is fair. See, your effort is just one part of the equation. The rules of the game matter way, way more.
And that leads to a really crucial point. The system was never built to be fair. That was never the goal. The goal was stability. The goal was control. And to get that, it needs most people to be in a very specific state. And that state is called financial fragility. Think about it. It's this razor's edge where you're just comfortable enough not to panic, but you're just scared enough to do what you're told. You have just enough to lose that you'd never dream of rocking the boat. So how is this delicate balance kept in place? Well, the whole thing is held up by three main pillars of control that all work together seamlessly.
Okay, so what are they? They're education, debt, and time. Let's dig into how each one of these keeps us right where the system wants us.
All right, first up, education. Our school system is amazing at teaching us how to follow rules, show up on time, and respect authority. But what doesn't it teach you? It doesn't teach you how money really works, how debt is a trap. It's designed to create a good employee, not necessarily a free thinker.
And then there's debt. Man, debt is the engine of this whole thing. Student loans, mortgages, credit cards. It's all designed to anchor you to your job, to your life. It keeps you from taking risks. It's exactly like the quote says, when you owe money, your time isn't really yours anymore. Someone else owns it.
Which brings us to the most important pillar of all, time. It's the one thing you can never, ever get more of. And yet, we're all taught to sell it off cheaply, hour by hour, for a paycheck. And think about it. A population that's always tired, always overworked. They just don't have the energy to question things.
Okay, so you have these huge pillars. But then there are the smaller, more subtle tools the system uses every single day to keep us in line. These are the things that work in the background, almost without us noticing.
And a huge one today is this, the attention extraction cycle. Think about your phone, the constant notifications, the endless scrolling. It's not just harmless fun. It's a powerful tool to keep our brains so occupied, so distracted, that we never find the quiet moment to connect the dots and ask the big questions. But honestly, this might be the most brilliant part of the whole design. The system almost never needs to use force, because we police ourselves. We internalize the beliefs. We tell ourselves things like, struggle is noble, or wanting more for yourself is greedy. We build our own cage and then lock the door.
So this all sounds pretty bleak, right? But it's not about despair. This is where we pivot. This is where we talk about what you might call a rebellion of clarity.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question, the one you're probably asking right now. If the game feels this rigged, how on earth do you win?
Well, the answer, the moment everything clicks into place, it's not when you finally get that big raise or that promotion. More money is nice, sure, but it doesn't change the game itself.
The real change happens the moment you finally understand the game you're actually playing. That's it. It's just awareness. The second you see the rules for what they are, the spell is broken. You stop playing on autopilot.
Because here's the cold, hard truth of it. You were never meant to be rich. You were meant to be a cog in the machine, useful, productive, and, replaceable. And just knowing that, truly accepting that, that's step one toward real freedom.
And that really brings us to the final idea here. Real rebellion isn't loud. It isn't angry. Sometimes, the most powerful, most rebellious act you can take is to just see things clearly. And once you have that clarity, you can finally start playing a different game entirely, your own game.